This is a video for section 9.5, and what we're doing is the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And what we're looking at is that sometimes it has two real solutions, and you already know that that means that it's going to cross the x-axis twice. Sometimes it only has one solution, and you know that that means that it only crosses the x-axis once. And then no solutions, it's either too far up and it's going to keep going up, or it's too far down and it's keep going down and it'll never touch the x-axis. Here, though, it's a different way of doing it because sometimes we need a decimal approximation to get those values. Here, we're going to get the exact value. And then this right here is called the discriminant. So let me go inside and show you what I mean. The first thing that we need to do is put it equal to 0. So make sure that it's always equal to 0 like just we have done. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. We have 12x squared plus 5x minus 4 is equal to 0. Remember, these are not like terms, so we can't put them together. That means that A is 12, B is 5, and C is negative 4. So it's just the numbers in front of the variable that make it A, B, or C. Please don't put x or x squared on there. It's just the number. And then this constant is the C part. So if you can remember from the formula, b squared minus 4ac is the part inside of that square root sign. So we're just going to do that part, and that part is called the discriminant. So b was squared, and our b value was 5, so we're going to plug it in, minus 4ac. The a value was 12. And the C value is negative 4. When I put that in the calculator, it equals to 17. Because it's positive, that means there's going to be two solutions. And that's why it's called a discriminant, because it's going to tell you what your next steps are going to be. So when the number is positive, when that discriminant is bigger than 0, then it has two solutions. All right, and now that we know we have two solutions, we're going to use a quadratic formula, which again was negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And this is on your formula chart, and it is in front of your STAR test. So if you feel like you would forget, just don't look on there. It says negative b plus or minus the square root of 2a. So I just want to remind you, it says b, that was 5, we're going to plug it in. We already did the discriminant, so we don't have to do it again. We're just going to put 217, and the a value is 12. What I would want you to do from here is kind of simplify the equation, and you have negative 5 plus the square root of 217 divided by 24, or negative 5 minus the 217 divided by 24. To get the correct answer, what I'm going to ask you to do is put the numerator in first and hit enter. So negative 5 plus the square root of 24, and you can move out of there or in the parentheses, hit enter, and then you're going to divide by 24. So you can get the correct answer. Which is, oh, I put 27, sorry, instead of negative 5 plus the square root of 217. Sorry, hit enter, then divide by 24. It's going to give you 0.41. If we do the same thing, don't forget you want to make sure that you do on the minus, so negative 5 minus this time the square root of 217. Make sure you hit enter first, then divide by 24. This one is a negative 0.82. And that's why it has this notation over here, kind of to simplify that you have one time that you add and one time that you subtract. All right, let's try that again. We're going to go ahead and subtract 16 from both sides. Add 16. I have x squared minus 8x plus 16 is equal to 0. Now we can determine that the a is 1. Don't forget, there's always a 1 in front of it, only that we can't see it. The b is negative 8, and the c is 16. So it says b squared minus 4a and c, where the b is a negative 8. This is important. This is why we're supposed to have those parentheses. Otherwise, you're going to get the wrong answer. A is 1, C is 16, and you're going to put it in the calculator and it equals 0. When it equals 0, you have one solution. So let's put it in the formula. Don't forget what the formula said was negative b plus or minus the square root of 2a. The b was a negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 0. Since we already did the determinant, there's 0 right there. And then a was 1. We're going to simplify this a little bit. Minus a negative is positive. Plus or minus 0. I want you to know that the square root of 0 is 0. So we're going to go ahead and write that down. Divided by 2. You actually don't need to write this plus 0. I just did so you can understand. So from right here, we know that it has one answer, because we don't need to add 0 and we don't need to subtract 0, making your answer 8 divided by 2, which is 4. We knew that it had one answer, so that's how that works, and we only have 4 as your final answer. The next one, we're going to add 4 to both sides because it has to equal to 0. 2x squared plus 3x plus 4. And then we're going to plug it into the discriminant. B squared minus 4ac, where the a value is 2, the b value is 3, and the c value is a positive 4. So right here was the b value, which is 3, a is 2, c is 4. Once you put in the calculator, that equals a negative 23.
Are these all?
And then we're gonna have negative plus b plus or minus the square root of negative 2a. And this is what messes us up. This is a negative 23 because of the discriminant. We have the negative 23 inside the radical. If you hit enter, it says there's an error. There's no real answer. So that's why this has no solution. So just to remind you, when it's 0, when that discriminant is 0, it only has one solution. When it's negative, there is no solution. And this is why we don't need to write down plus or minus 0. And then this is why on this for that negative square root.